welcome. This is our first inaugural Escambia County Sheriff's Office report with Chip Simmons.
Sheriff's Podcast, yeah.
Yes.
We've been kind of working on a working title. We've come up with what we are, Escambia County Sheriff's Office. I'm the Sheriff, Chip Simmons, and you are?
I'm Amber Southard. And the cool thing is nobody knows where we're doing this from, right?
No. In fact, I've kept it from my family.
Yes, we're in a hidden location.
We are at a secure location right here in the inner work sanctum of the Escambia County Sheriff's Office for this podcast.
That's right. Well, we kind of had the thought to do this because not a lot of sheriff's offices are doing this, and I'm a huge fan of podcasts, and we've got great stories to tell. I think myself, good stories.
Yeah, we're very proud of what we do here at the Escambia County Sheriff's Office, and we want our residents and anyone that wants to listen and tune in to the great things that we have going on right here in Escambia County, Florida, to have that opportunity. And we'll let you know what we're doing. We've breaking it up into segments, about 4 or 5 segments. It depends on the date. And we're going to do this every month, Amber?
Yes, so this is going to be once a month. You can find us right here on the iHeartRadio app. We hope you follow along there. I never thought I'd be on iHeartRadio. It's so cool. It's such a neat thing to do. I almost feel like my husband and them should start asking for my autograph. We'll see. I know you've given him your autograph before. It hangs on our wall.
That's maybe a story for a different podcast.
It is. I've got to get mine next to yours, though. That's the goal now.
Oh, just for those who are listening, real quick, I manufactured some autographs for her husband at an event we were at. But then again, that's a story for another day. But I don't want to keep you hanging too much. But yeah, this podcast is designed not just to tell people what we're doing, but also to let them know the good things that we have coming up. And that's one of our segments.
It is, and we've got a few segments that we'll probably go over each time, and each show is going to be different. It's going to be what's on our minds, kind of, what we've got going on here, events that are coming up. One of the big events, though, that we are having coming up in February, we did want to talk about, and I know a lot of people follow podcasts. I know I do. I'm a true crime, I can't get enough of it, have to listen to it. Even though I work it, live it, breathe it, even on the treadmill, I'm listening to it. I guess I'm insane.
I don't do the treadmill enough to really listen to an entire podcast.
I'm not really running. I'm kind of walking it. But you know what I mean. When you've got your podcast and you're listening to the true crime. So a lot of these are the cold case stories people want to hear, they want to know. So you came up with the idea of a cold case symposium.
Yeah, we have cases when we get reported crimes, specifically homicides. We put all of our investigators on it. And it's really true that the first 48 hours are very important. But some of them, we've exhausted all of the leads that we have at the current time, and we're unable to establish probable cause. In those cases, we don't forget about these investigations. We certainly don't forget about the victims or their families. And ultimately, they become what we call cold cases. They're not closed. They're not inactivated. They're cold because we don't have additional leads. And then as we get leads, we will reactivate the case, reopen the case, or relook at the case.
Something I think everybody always asks, and I get this question a lot, do they have to be missing 24, 48 hours before you report somebody?
No, that's a good question.
Yeah.
It's mostly circumstantial.
Yeah.
It depends on what the circumstances are. If you have an individual, and we'll go over some of the cases that we're going to go over at the Cold Case Symposium, but it just depends upon the circumstance. Is this individual never late for work, and then they've missed work 3-4 days in a row or something like that. So there's no magic number for us to report someone missing, to highlight or advertise the fact that someone's missing and we're asking for the public's help. But what I wanted to do is take advantage of the number of retired law enforcement officers that we have right here in Escambia County. Yeah. Some of them worked at the sheriff's office. Some of them worked at the Pensacola Police Department. But they all have been very successful homicide investigators. Yeah. And so I thought, what? Why don't we look at some of these cold cases that we have and bring the expertise in from these retirees. And we have had well over 20 people, certified, experienced homicide investigators that want to come and help us out to take a relook at some of these things with new technology, a new set of eyes, an experienced set of eyes. Yeah. And that's what we're doing. We're calling it the Cold Case Symposium, and we're going to do that it's coming up in February.
I think it's such a great idea to get all these minds into one room. It's almost like the best CSI episode you could have asked for. Everybody's in there. They've got all this years of experience on top of each other. And they're going to get these cases presented in front of them. So what is it kind of going to look like?
Well, my plan is to have this, this all-star team basically of everyone that wants to come in, and then we're going to have our active investigators as well, and we're going to concentrate on 6 cases first. So we'll go over 3 in the morning and then 3 in that afternoon session, and we're looking at doing it maybe 1 or 2 days in a row. And again, we're going to have an investigator, and it may be the investigator that initially was assigned the case. So we have 6 of them, and I'll quickly go over the 6 that we have to give you an idea. Cold case doesn't mean 40 years old. It doesn't mean 50 years old. It could be the first one we're going to briefly mention is 3 years old. It was happened in 2019, and it is the case of a 41-year-old named Ernest Finkley, and he was last heard from by phone 9 days prior to the report of him being missing. So, and sometimes there is information that we have, and sometimes there are things that we've looked into.
Right.
In this particular case, the family believes that information, at least believes that the body may have been dumped in an area off of Miller Street. But we searched and we could not find
I remember
a
this.
body.
I remember this. I remember we put him out as missing, got his picture out there, got the community involved, and his family, bless them, like they just broke my heart because they got a tip and they thought his body was in this location. So we were out there with our investigators, our community partners, class kids were out there, ESAR, Escambia Search and Rescue. They had cadaver dogs out there. They searched this whole area. There were like parks and everything. I remember being out there and looking, and unfortunately,
Well, oftentimes we do have families and we have friends and we have community members that get information, and we act upon that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to ignore that information. If we're inundated with 1,000 tips that 1,000 different locations, it may take us a while. But this is one of the cases, and it's I wouldn't say it's typical, but it does happen frequently that we never find a body.
Yeah.
And so there are cases that you may hear, even in the ones that we run down today, that they're missing. It's just suspicious. We believe foul play is involved, and that's why we're looking to investigate it. There's nothing to stop someone that's 18 years and older from just leaving, deciding they're going to go and hit the road, they're going to go to a friend's house, family's house, or they're just going to leave and become a transient type individual. But this case, we believe that there might have been a dice game involved, but that's all the information that we have. Certainly all the information that we can share at this moment. But that's the first case. The second case that we're going to look into is 5 years old, and it involves a Lacarian Thomas Peters. He was 22 years old, and the family had not seen him in 3 days. He just went missing. We put him up on billboards. You probably remember this case as well.
Yeah, and the family, in fact, bought their own billboards. We had our own, and they went out and actually bought their own billboards to put him up there. And I think he still, till this day, has some billboards here in Escambia County that the family has put out. And he's been on ours. I rotate him in, frequently on there to keep him in rotation.
Yeah, imagine if you're a family member and your family member just all of a sudden goes missing, and like we said before, it's not typical. So we fear that foul play may be involved in this. The next one is 11-year-old case. This is a case of an individual by the name of Broderick Johnson. He was shot on Diego Circle, and lying next to him a set of playing dice. So we're going to look at the Broderick Johnson case as well and go over all the details surrounding that case. The fourth case that we're going to look at is a 21 years old. Now we're starting to get where the cases are a little bit older. Jessica Eve Shukman, she was a 22-year-old female, and she was found in the water near NAS Pensacola. And then the investigators determined that she was the victim of foul play, of homicide. So we're going to look at that case, which is 21 years old, but we're going to go over the details of that case and look for if we have any more information or a different avenue that we can go for. That's the fourth one. The fifth case is a 30-year-old case. Again, as I said, these are getting a little bit older. This is a 1992 case regarding the homicide of Joanna Otto. Actually, she's been missing. We do believe that she's the victim of a homicide. She was last seen after leaving a party on Yacht Harbor Circle. And then a friend claims to have dropped her off in an apartment on Roy Street, but no one has seen her. So,
this case, I think if you've lived here in Pensacola long enough, or you're from the Escambia County area long enough, you've heard about it. She's been featured in news articles and news stories, and it's just been it's one of those that I think our whole community's kind of thought about over and over again. What happened to her? What could have happened? And it almost reads, unfortunately, like a Lifetime movie. I think everybody's kind of put themselves in that place. You go to a party, you're young, you're having fun, and then you just don't come home. What happened? What's the story in between? And I would be very thrilled for this cold case symposium to help any of these cases, but this one really is. I've thought about it for years.
We have talked to members I personally have talked to members of the family that they've not forgotten, and if we're certainly not forgetting either. I call this like the sudden disappearance. It's like, well, last time I saw them, I dropped them off here. In this case, someone claims to have dropped them off an apartment, but no one knows where they're at. No one has seen them. There is what we call a sudden disappearance, and that's not normal.
No.
And so, I mean, it's different if someone were to make some notes, clean out their checking account, pack a bag, do something like that, take their phone with them. But in this case, it's just a sudden disappearance. That's Joanna Otto, and that'll be the fifth one. The sixth one that we will deal with is the oldest case that we have. This happened in 1985, and is a 37-year-old case. The body of a 29-year-old female, Patricia Lynn Stephen, was found in a wooded area west of the intersection of North Blue Angel Parkway and West Michigan Avenue. And the investigation again revealed that it was obviously a homicide involved in this person, and we've been looking for information on that one for 37 years. So, again, there are still relatives that are alive that remember her. We certainly will remember the victim here, and these are the 6 cases that we have right now.
Yeah, we plan to have their photos out and about on our social media. You can find them. Get them posted to our website and stuff so you can kind of see them and get familiar with it. Maybe somebody out there listening to this is like, that name sounds familiar, that case sounds familiar, anything like that. And this cold case symposium, I'm really excited about it. I hope it does well. We were talking about all the experience, but you know what? We kind of forgot to really introduce ourselves and what our experiences are and what led us to being here in these seats. You're obviously the sheriff of Escambia County. What is your background?
Well, briefly, I started at the sheriff's office in 1984. I worked under Sheriff Vince Seeley. I spent my time in corrections and worked there for about 2 years, and then I went to the Pensacola Police Department in 1986, and I retired as the police chief there. I was police chief there for over 5 years, and I retired in 2015, and then I've been here at the sheriff's office for the past 5 years now. For the last 1 year, I had been the sheriff, and 4 years prior to that, I was the chief deputy here at the Escambia County Sheriff's Office. Yeah, and you, as we all know, local celebrity.
Local celebrity, yes. Journalist. Started my career in 2008, interning through several different news agencies. Ended up in Panama City Beach for a few years, reporting and anchoring at a local NBC affiliate there. Came back to Pensacola, worked for the ABC affiliate for years. Traveled a little bit, kind of doing other things, and then live reporting for everybody that was affiliated with that local station, whether it be CNN or anything like that. So I do have a little bit of journalistic experience. Came to the sheriff's office about the same time you did, 5 years. We showed up around the same time, and we've been doing things like this and expanding the program. So for me, diving in on a podcast like this and talking about these cases, like everything journalistic about it, I just love, and I love listening to it and hearing about it. The other side of it, helping the community. If this can help in any way, I'm so thrilled that we can partner and do something like this and have it out there.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it a little while ago, but there's a lot of intrigue regarding law enforcement. There's not just the homicide investigations. There's some questions that, these are taxpayers in Escambia County, and they want to know what we're doing. Yeah. They want to know that their sheriff's office is doing the best. We're using the latest technology, using the latest tactics, the latest ideas, and one of which obviously is a podcast. Yeah. We want to be transparent, and one way to do that is to bring our message, to bring what we're doing, current events, like we're talking about, and we bring it to you so you can hear what we're doing and what we're planning on doing.
Yeah, so we have more current events that are coming up. One of the other ideas that Sheriff Simmons brought to the sheriff's office was this movie night. And I think it's such a great idea, and we've got a couple of those kind of coming up. So in with the kind of bad and trying to figure out the crime, we've got good that we, go out into the communities, real big on community policing. Like, that's one of your biggest things you've done since you've come over here.
Well, we wanted to concentrate on enforcement, obviously, and that's what we're doing with the Cold Case Symposium and some of the partnerships that we've done with we've created or reestablished really with our federal partners and our state partners. but we also really wanted engagement in our neighborhood. So we're gonna take our show on the road.
Right. We were lacking in that avenue.
I think we were.
We really were struggling there. So.
And our idea is that there are kids in some neighborhoods, and we really want to concentrate this particular initiative on the kids. And so we wanted to be able to bring what we have to offer, our engagement initiatives and opportunities to the neighborhood. So we bought we partnered with a Escambia County Sheriff Foundation. We actually created that, first of all. And then we partnered with this nonprofit Sheriff's Office Foundation, and they raised money, and they bought us a huge video. I say huge, a large video screen or a video wall, depends on who you're talking to about it. And we're gonna trailer that, and we're gonna bring that to our neighborhoods, and we're gonna engage like we've never engaged before. I think it's a good idea. We're getting a lot of positive feedback about it. We're really excited to do it, and we're gonna probably by next podcast we'll give the dates and some of the early locations of where we're going to be at. I just think it's something that we're very excited about. To getting into neighborhoods, we're gonna cook a hamburger, hot dog for the neighborhood and specifically for the kids, and then we're gonna show them a movie. There are people that can't go to a movie theater. There's people that can't get a car whenever they feel like it and go to see a movie, and we're gonna give them that opportunity by bringing the movie to them.
I love it, and we're gonna show tons of different kids kind of movies. We're going to see Frozen and things like that. Toy Story. Yeah. I'm excited about it. I've got a 2-year-old, and I know she's going to love it. She's also going to want, to be able to pick a movie. So I'm going to.
Yeah, well, there may be some opportunities for that after the first couple of them. But we're this is new to us. But again, we're very excited about it, and we're certainly trying, and we're certainly bringing our A game to our engagement opportunities.
We're going to have each podcast, like we say, is kind of going to be different. We're just kind of introducing this time around, letting everybody know who we are, what we're doing in the community, what you can expect from the sheriff's office. But we'll have different segments each time. You've hinted a couple that you've wanted to do.
we talked about how proud I am to be the sheriff of Escambia County, and the more I know about our employees, the more impressed I am. We are a top-notch organization. And one of our employees, James Morris, he's one of our K-9 deputies. He is the employee of the month for this month. And when I talked to him this morning, and him and his dog Rocket, they do
K9
such
Rocket.
a great job. He loves his dog. If he's listening to it, he always talks about his dog being the most handsome dog we've got. And I'm not sure what criteria he has, but it is a good-looking dog.
But it is a good-looking dog.
I can admit. But he does a great job and very active in the workforce, and he's also a leader on the shift. So that's important that he takes the lead and he helps train younger deputies on de-escalation and some of the professional things that we have in our core values of courtesy, integrity, and professionalism. So James Morris, congratulations. He is the employee of the month for the month of January.
But when does Rocket get a chance?
Rocket always gets a chance. Rocket. We were going to give Rocket a little more today, but he apparently fell asleep in the car.
Oh, wow.
So, he works hard and he carries that team.
So, there you go.
He does a great job.
We were going over some other things. I think you wanted to do some history and other topics that we might have going on.
Yeah, give you an idea. This podcast, and we hope that you'll tune in to us on a monthly basis. We have an employee awards. If there's a national story out there that we want to make a comment about, some people want to know what the sheriff's office feelings are on certain issues, and many times I'm certainly willing to give my opinion on those things. There are some things that I may not have all the information about, so I won't give an opinion. And one thing is the history. We are so proud here in Escambia County and the city of Pensacola to be, the Florida's first. I know St. Augustine feels that they are, but
they're not.
We don't feel like that's the case. But anyways, we are very proud. Last year we came up with a new badge, symbolic of our place in history. In 1821, Andrew Jackson created the first two counties, Escambia and St. Johns County. And when he did that, he also created first two sheriff's offices. So Escambia County and St. Johns County are the very first sheriff's offices in Florida. We're very proud of our position, our long-standing, status in the state of Florida. So we had our 200th anniversary last year, where I guess we're 201 years old this year. So that's part of it. In the future podcast, we'll talk a little bit about the first sheriff, and we had a sheriff that was killed in the line of duty Fortunately, we only had one. Hopefully, we only have
I
one.
know, right?
But we'll discuss a little bit about this unique perspective that we have in the state of Florida.
You know, we were going over this podcast before we decided to tape it, and I was like, all right, what do you want to do? What are your options? So he had, you know, all these goals and topics that he wanted to do, you know, history and events, current events, what we're doing here, what national events. And I was like, I got a joke. Can we have a joke?
A joke category?
A joke category? Because I brought you one.
As long as it's a clean joke.
I mean, yeah. How do cops greet people?
How do cops greet people? I don't know.
Police to meet you. Feel free to use it. Use it whenever.
Some segments will be good, and some segments will not be good.
That's me. That's what I bring to the table.
Well, and I'm not going to say I'm not going to use that. I know that people are listening. Some friends of mine have that same situation. Where they'll listen to something and then they'll say, "Oh, I hate that joke," and then they'll go and tell that joke.
Or somebody that just gets on your nerve. They say this one thing that you're like, "Oh, I hate that. I hate that person says this all the time," and the next thing you know, you're throwing it in your vocabulary, and you're
It's
like,
you.
"I hate myself. I'm that person now."
Well, but yeah, and in the future we will have some hopefully maybe some jokes. We'll add jokes to be the permanent part of us.
I'll get better.
And then we'll continue with these different segments. And in the future, I also want to have. We probably won't have time today, but we want to have maybe a mailbag type thing, good and bad, because it's important for people to understand what we get. We get a lot of mail, and I get a lot of mail from kids, and I love to read those stories. And we also get some not so good, not so kind type of mail, and we may share those with the listeners.
We
as
have
well.
our own mean tweets.
mean tweets. Yeah,
we do. I mean, as anybody, but yeah, we'll share those with you guys too. We hope you stick around. We hope you continue listening to our podcast. We plan on talking about what we find in the symposium. If one of these cases really hits a thing, we might even take you through it a little more. It could be a 2 or 3 parter that we share. Like we said, every time it's going to be something a little different, something a little more to expect. So we hope you continue to follow us on our podcast. It'll be on iHeartRadio once a month. And please check us out. Remember to click on that Escambia County Sheriff's Office icon.
Thank you for joining us.